I'm probably like less than 1% of all the people in 12-step fellowships that know this passion that I'm speaking of, because it was like our primary purpose was to carry the message contained in this big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, one-on-one with another person in a coffee shop, privately sharing anonymously, no attention on us, you know, how we got to the other side. And it's in this book, and we just read it together and do what that book says to do. I was your implementation coach on getting the 12-step program in your life. I was an implementation coach in getting this program into your life. In other words, when it came to us, when the books made a suggestion about something to do, I had this color coding system that I created and I explained to everybody before we started working. We're going to really study and analyze and dissect this book as if your life depends upon it, because this is the program that, you know, I have to share with you. That one of the steps is why this is the joy of it all, that you're coming in as a teacher, and if this really works, that you would pass it on to someone else, right? And so that's how I sponsor people. That's how I do it, right? Me personally. Everybody's got their own way. So the color coding system goes like this. Blue is the color of this book. Therefore, anytime this book makes any references to the book itself, like what's the purpose of this book? This book, the main object of this book is to show you how we have recovered. Whenever the book is making a reference to itself as to what its objective is, what its purpose is, what kind of book it is, it says this is a basic text. So that's in blue, right? Just so you know, this is not your ordinary freaking book. Oh, this is the best book of my life. Of all the books of the world, this is my favorite one, because it's the only one that I can change a person's life if I'm willing to, meet them 12 times for a couple hours and just go through the recipe here. And, we agree that my process goes like this. When the book says to do something, we stop and pause, and then we start to do something before I see the person again the next week. Back to the colors. Then I realized that some of the things in this book are suggestions, but that means they say that because alcoholics and addicts, you don't freaking tell us what to do, make a suggestion and we won't resist, right? But these are instructions, right? But when they make these suggestions, if it's things to do, that they're suggesting that this is what the first original alcoholics did, and that if you do this, you can recover from something you never thought you'd ever recover from, then I thought that was important to highlight it in green. And then I realized there was these other instructions in here, and they'd only be instructions if you weren't a spiritual person, which was fine to not be a spiritual person. See, some of the instructions are prayers. And I realized, okay, so if a person is not spiritual, they'll never look at those prayers as anything but prayers. So I said, let's have the color yellow represent those suggestions which are disguised in a prayer. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondages of self so that I can better do thy will. Take away my difficulties so that victory over my difficulties will bear witness to those you would have me help of your power and your life, your way of life. May I do your will always. It's been a long time. I think I got 3 words wrong in that prayer, but that is in the book. That's the step 3 prayer, approximately. That would be yellow. But there's also kind of implied instructions in there, right? What I'm not going to get into right now. So green plus yellow, because green and yellow are really all suggestions, things to do. If it's a prayer that you're not willing to do the prayer, then find a way to translate that prayer into its equivalent result, that prayer had an intention to be fulfilled.